What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. More bad news for the Clippers. They didn't need any more bad news. They've been through a lot this season, and it seems like it just continues. Now Norman Powell for the Clippers, who just got acquired maybe a week ago, along with Robert Covington from the Portland Trail Blazers, he has a fractured bone in his foot. And on top of that, there is no timetable for his return. And this is not something the Clippers Nation needed. This is not something the Clippers organization needed. They've been through enough. Seem like they've been through enough headache, enough heartache. It just seems like it continues for this team. And I don't want to say this team is cursed or anything like that, because I really don't like saying things like that about teams or any organization, even though some organizations are evident that they are, between all sports, NFL, basketball, any sport out there, baseball, hockey, anything. But I'm just saying, it just seems like when it rains, it pours for the Clippers. Now, they just acquired this guy. This guy had a big game, his first outing, his debut game there. He had like 28 points off the bench, and now it's no time for his return. And now the Clippers are down one piece that they thought they would be able to kind of utilize going forward, and trying to get him used to the system and the rotations, and trying to work him and Covington in, because him and Covington still have to learn the systems of Ty Lue and how he likes to operate, and what he thinks of his players and how he utilizes them. And now they're going to be missing him for a while, probably. It said he's going to be out indefinitely. Every time I see that word indefinitely, it's always that word basically to me means the unknown, because it's like, indefinitely can mean 2 months, 3 months. It can mean a month. It can mean the rest of the season almost, or predominantly most of the season. It can mean a lot of things. So I never like seeing that word. It just really, really makes me cringe when I see that about any player having that word attached to them. So, it's definitely a big loss for the Clippers, because he's definitely a really, really good, solid role player, and he can actually do star player type thing. He can jump out of the gym. He can shoot. He can defend. He has a high IQ for basketball, just in a way of knowing how to make the right plays at the right time to help a team win, to be a part of a winning organization, as he was in Toronto. And, it's just one of those things the Clippers just have to, try to get over. But getting over the hump all the time just sometimes becomes, demoralizing, especially when you're trying to win a championship and you have a championship roster, but all the pieces just don't play together. Not because they don't fit, it's just because they can't stay healthy. And when you look at a situation like that, it's almost no different than a team having a bunch of good players and just don't build chemistry. It's almost equivalent to the same thing, because if you're injured a lot, you can't build the chemistry that you need, even though you got all the right pieces to win. And this is why I said, the Clippers are just in a crazy situation right now. And, as I said in my previous videos, they just have to hope that they get everybody back. That's all they can do. And it's really a situation of what else can Ty Lue go through with this team and overcome. He's overcome a whole lot this season. He's got this team in the 8th seed, and this team is battling every single night. But at some point, you understand, a team gives out. At some point, a team, loses energy. At some point, a team loses that fight in them a little bit. And sometime when that happens, you can, go on a 3-4 game losing streak or something like that, or a 4 or 5 game losing streak, and then that can knock you out contention of the 8th seed, possibly. I hope that's not what happened to the Clippers, but hopefully they can continue, riding their wave of just, the fighter's mentality and building upon the success that they have. Because if they don't, they'll find themselves in a real, real bad situation, which means maybe a play-in tournament possibly, or, possibly not making the playoffs. I personally think they will, But at the same time, it's like, you know, if it's almost like if you're in a battle, like in the army or something like that, if every man keeps going down, eventually you don't have enough troops to finish the mission. You see what I'm saying? And that's what it's starting to look like with the Clippers. You know, it's like, man, what else can go wrong for this team? You know, and ever since this team's been assembled, put together, even a couple years ago before the bubble started, I thought they were a really, really solid team. I mean, I thought they had all the pieces they needed to win. And, you know, with Kawhi being healthy, playing at a high level, Paul George wasn't, you know, he didn't play the greatest in the bubble, but he did make up for the following year last year and help getting them to the conference finals. You know, so I mean, they had the potential, they had the talent, they had the pieces, they got the coach, they got the right superstar in Kawhi, they got the second superstar in PG. You know, it's like, but regardless of all that, I mean, how much can they endure? I mean, can they overcome everything that comes their way? It's just, you know, it's just not possible. And, you know, I hope that, like I said, I hope their fortune turns around. I really do, because I want to see this team make it to a final, because the Clippers deserve to be in the finals with all the talent that they have. And you look at some of the big games they've come back from this year, you know, against Brooklyn, against the Nuggets, and that one against the Sixers, and especially the one against the Wizards, you know, down by 35. This team is really, really resilient. This team is really, really, you know, a fighter. You know what I'm saying? They definitely have that fighter's mentality, like a boxer on his last legs, but you can't knock them out. You see what I'm saying? So they really have that mentality, and you have to respect that about them. But it's just blow after blow after blow after blow. It's like, how much can they take? You see what I'm saying? How much can they endure and keep this going? Now, hopefully, like I said, I don't know about the buyout and all this other stuff and who they can find or who they possibly can get or anybody like that. But I mean, really, they need to do something. I mean, because, you know, right now it's like they're losing pieces left and right. And I personally thought when they let go of Serge Ibaka, they let go a huge piece of their core, huge piece. Because like I said, Serge Ibaka is a great locker room guy. And for one, that's one of Nicholas Batum's best friends there, because Nicholas Batum even said that's the guy he speaks to in French. You know, he's the only guy in the locker room he can relate in that way. And, you know, Serge is almost like a coach on the team, you know what I'm saying? But he also was a player. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys respect him, and they should, because he's a real good locker room guy, good presence, good attitude, always positive. And, you know, for one thing, as I said before, that's Kawhi Leonard's guy. Kawhi wanted him to come there to LA with him. So now that you trade him away, I don't know what Kawhi Leonard's thinking now. I really don't. And you know something? That's something that a lot of people need to start thinking about, because Kawhi said he wanted high IQ basketball players on the team. And you trade one of the best high IQ basketball players on that team just because you couldn't find minutes for him, or just because you didn't think maybe he would be the player he was before. And of course, the notion was the fact that he had an expiring contract, so they had to do what they had to do. But even still, you gave him to the team that just won the championship, which made them a lot better, which made them more versatile. And on top of that, you're giving away a piece that has won championship and has championship pedigree. I just didn't agree with that. I really didn't agree with that at all. And I stand firm by my statement. You never give away championship pedigree type players. Even Ty Lue said that. You can't take championship pedigree out of a locker room and expect this team to play at their best without a guy like that, especially with your main two superstars down, not knowing when they're going to return. You need a guy like Serge to be there. If anything, they should have traded Marcus Morris and got another piece back for him. I would have, you know, I don't know if Duncan Robinson would have been, because the reports was Duncan Robinson would have been a good, you know, swap out for Marcus Morris. I don't know if Duncan Robinson would have worked out to like that, but I mean, he couldn't be no worse than Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris shows signs where, you know, he's scoring 20 points, 2 or 3 games in a row, and then he'll go back and score 8, 9 points for 6 games in a row. You see what I'm saying? So Duncan Robinson couldn't have been much worse. If anything, he probably would have been the same or maybe a little bit better, because he is a better shooter, I believe, than Marcus Morris overall percentage wise. So, I mean, you never know. But at the same time, what's done is done. But the Clippers just suffer another blow to me because that's a really good role player, Norman Powell. And I definitely think, Ty Lue was going to start using him a lot more, giving him the green light a lot more once he got comfortable in the rotation and got comfortable in the system of how Ty Lue likes to do things, because Ty Lue knows that he can score. I mean, like I said, the guy's debut, he had 28 points off the bench. So if you put him like in a starting lineup and let him keep getting comfortable with the offense and the rotations, man, he might have had several 30-point games this year, which would have, put the Clippers over the hump and beat some teams and, kept them afloat. And that's what they acquired him for. So, losing a piece like that, even though he hasn't been there very long at all, a very short time, a very minimal time, is still an impact. It's a very huge impact because they're missing their 2 star players. Serge is gone, and other players in and out the lineup. You can't trust Marcus Morris with consistency on the offensive end, and it's just you're fighting an uphill battle. And I hate it for the Clippers, I really do. But at this point, like I said, they just got to go through the rest of the season after the All-Star break, and just keep pushing, keep fighting. I don't know where they're going to land in the seedings. I think they may stay somewhere around the 7th and 8th seed, but they gotta just hope they can stay that way and stay there, and hope maybe PG comes back, or see what happens with Kawhi and his decision, and just see how it pans out. Because right now it just doesn't look like it doesn't look like the sun is shining for the Clippers. But maybe things will change, but we'll just have to see. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Khaliis out.